Welcome to the Future Fit Edge podcast, your launchpad into a smart future. In this era of exponential disruption, the choice is crystal clear. Reinvent or be left behind, whether you are at your peak or facing new challenges. I am Cindy Montgenie, your guide, inviting you behind the scenes of strategic reinvention. As a former tech executive turned future of work explorer and reinvention strategist, I have equipped thousands of leaders worldwide to not just navigate ambiguity, but thrive in it. Each power-packed episode decodes the strategies of top executives who are tackling today's toughest challenges to stay future fit and transform their organizations, communities, or industries for a brighter tomorrow. Tune in for stellar insights, practical frameworks, and cutting-edge mindset shifts that will set you apart. The future is unstoppable. Are you ready to be unstoppable too? Hit subscribe and join me on this exciting journey. So welcome to a new episode of the Future Fit Edge podcast with another accomplished guest. And our guest today is Mauro Rodrigues da Cunha. Mauro has been an independent board director now for 2 decades. He has sat in the boards of 15 companies, including the most important one in Brazil. But also he has built an executive career for 20 years. So he's well-versed between the challenges of the execution and board governance. And now he's a founder of Engage, which is an advisory firm that helps companies and institutional investors navigate today's challenge. So welcome, Mauro, and thanks for stopping by today.
A pleasure to be here in the challenge.
And so let's dive in. You've been an independent board director for 20 years now. In today's fast-paced environment, what do you think a future fit board do differently to stay relevant and drive impact?
I think that the boards must first ask themselves what they have to do and how much value they're adding to the organization. Many boards are in peace with the whole idea of the traditional board evaluation processes, which, in my opinion, don't really answer that question. You're going to have rankings and, you should do more of this and more of that. But to really answer the question, are we adding value? That's something that evaluation will not do. This will only come up in a candid conversation among not only the directors, but all stakeholders involved in the governance process, which has to include management, has to include shareholders, has to include a broad view for what is expected of the boards. So if we manage to get that first step right, and we get people in that room that understand their job in terms of the mission of what the organization needs at that time and for the future, then we start to have a chance to have what we may call a future fit board.
Love it. And at this moment, as you mentioned, because today we need like the answer that worked yesterday will no longer work in the future. And one of those big drivers is not the only one, is AI. AI is everywhere. And AI is calling for reinvention, for disruption, for asking, as you are mentioning, new kinds of questions. What is the value we will create? So what role should AI play in reinventing board governance? But also, how can directors avoid using AI to amplify existing shortfalls?
That's an excellent question, and I will have an answer that is a work in progress, okay? And we'll talk based on my experience, not only on the companies where I serve, but also from my network of directors, mostly in Brazilian firms, large Brazilian firms. So we must separate the hype from reality. Everyone's talking about AI, and we go to the events, it's all AI, AI, AI. I haven't seen a single board in that community that I'm talking about where AI has actually made a material difference on how that board operates. So I believe there's a lot of potential in terms of organizing and synthesizing information and allowing the boards to get to better conclusions, but we're not there yet. We are still a few steps away when directors are educating themselves. First, they are pretty scared about the repercussions for the business, and still working on getting those questions right. And the final part of your question is critical as to how AI can amplify existing shortfalls, because this is so true. I mean, everything is just happening faster, and if you have a bad board, it's going to fail faster, right? Because of technology and because of AI. So even in the first layer of preoccupation of a director concerning these new technologies, which is how does this impact my company, my risks, and my responsibility, we're still in early stages. So I've seen many situations where one director comes up and say, oh, we need to discuss AI. And then the board brings McKinsey to the room for a very nice presentation on AI. And everybody say, oh, that's a great presentation on AI. And it's absolutely useless for what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. In one case of a very important company, we had that demand to discuss what the company is doing in AI. And what happened was that we had a sort of a science fair. We interrupted the board meeting before lunch. We went to the other room where different areas of the company would showcase what they were doing in AI. It was fascinating, but absolutely useless in terms of how the board can come up with ideas, guardrails, or KPIs to understand the opportunities and the risks that are ongoing as we were seeing the projects unfolding. And to make matters worse, we didn't go back to that agenda for a whole year. So it's like they checked that box and, okay, we discussed AI. This is happening a lot. So we need to go one step further to really find the role of the board in the broad governance of AI. And we must, by all means, invest a lot in director education. I'm a strong believer that directors need to be generalists by definition, because we need to have opinions on everything that may affect the company. It'd be great to have specialists in AI in the room, as it would be great to have a specialist in climate change, a specialist in cybersecurity, a specialist in you name it. So if we had 30 seats in the board, we could have specialists in some of the areas that are relevant to us. That's not the answer. Everybody in the board should do their homework and be up to speed with the most important things affecting the company. And if we're not digital natives, as I am not, you are, I'm not.
I'm not that.
I have homework to do, and I need to study it, and I need to have opinions, and I need my peers to also do their homework. So I think we are at that stage where we must be humble. By the way, I was on the board of a very large organization once, and I was discussing the importance of continuing education. And one director, very senior director, came back to me and said, I don't need to study anymore. If I'm on this board, it's because I already know what I need to know. Now, if we have that posture, we will not be able to address the challenges that are emerging.
And it's a good point, because I was looking, at least in the US, seeing some data. Generally, like, directors are staying for a long time. Some companies have like the same director for 30 years. So if those directors are not like keeping up with technology, I think at this point, the decision might be irrelevant. When you started, you mentioned that the past evaluations are no longer working if we want to have a future fit board to lead and win in the future. Do you think that the current board governance model is broken? And if yes, should we redesign it from the ground up, or is just making some adjustments?
I think it is broken, but redesigning it scares me. We have to understand that boards are like a living organism that have been working for 500 years, okay? Like it or not, this is the governance structure that allowed us to develop capitalism in the Western Hemisphere, okay? So the idea of having a diverse group of people on the top of the organization that holds management accountable on behalf of owners who cannot look at the day-to-day of the company actually makes sense, okay? So instead of rebuilding the model from the ground up, I think what we need to change is the posture of directors that shouldn't see the directorship as a sinecure, as a retirement gig, or somewhere where you can serve for 20 years and still believe that you're adding any value. So the mission of a director is so important that it takes dedication, it takes time. And going back to your question on AI, I think the risk that we have, and I actually saw a presentation this week by somebody saying that, listen, with AI, we don't need to talk about overboarding anymore because directors will be able to participate in 6, 8, 10, 12 boards because AI is going to do so much of the legwork for them. That scares me very, very much because the problem that we have right now is a problem of not diving deep into the board's not only agenda, but needs, right? Most directors, again, and I'm talking, given my realm of knowledge, given the community of directors where I see, that I see operating, they're reactive. They will bring their opinion. They'll even read the materials if provoked, but they will not be proactive in terms of dedicating more than is demanded by them, of them, given the agendas that are prepared by the chairman. So I believe in that to be a good director, it takes a lot more than participating in the meetings and the annual agenda. It takes getting to know the facilities, know the industry, know the clients, know the suppliers, study about it, be in conferences. So you need to have a broad view, really, because at the end of the day, Cindy, and this is very important for the future, which is boards are responsible as guardians of the culture of the company. Yes. How can you pretend to understand the culture if you have 5 meetings a year, 3 of which are via Zoom? That's really not something you can do. So you have to dedicate yourself. And AI may give the tool for people to do even less in terms of dedication and broad learning to become a good director.
Yeah, and I love like all those insights because really by listening to you, we understand it. And this is also one of the pressure of AI, like the need to reinvent, to change how we are working, to ask a different set of questions, to go deep and to own on some key topics. And it seems because you step up, you're still an independent board director, but now you're also a consultant to help increase the effectiveness of some boards. So why do you think it's challenging for independent board directors to drive these reinventions themselves? And why they are not, some of them are not able to do it, and they need to work with a consultant like you to really get this boost and get the guidance to reinvent themselves and how they govern within the board?
I think it goes beyond the need to hire a consultant like me. It's really that I think it's very comfortable to do nothing and to pretend to yourself that you're doing everything that it takes. If you see the Netflix movie on Theranos, for example, you'll see that the people there were actually convincing themselves that they were doing the right thing when they were basically going through a deliberate blindness process, right? So it's very comfortable, and the board culture stimulates that. The way the hiring works, the way the nominating committees work, the way the briefings to the search firms are made, it sort of puts an incentive in the passive behavior that precludes the reinvention of the job description that I think is necessary.
Yeah, so like the trap of safety, right? Because people think like Safety is safe, and safety is risky.
Safety and clubbiness, right? It's very good to be part of the club.
Exactly. And at this moment, one of the pressure on boards is not only AI, but you have AI, you have ESG, you have globalization, you have like so many issues that now needs to be addressed. What do you see as some like global innovations or best practices that could help board directors to tackle all those challenges and be effective and be agile in making fast decisions that are needed in this fast-paced world?
I think directors need to have clarity on the cycles that are involved in each of the disciplines under its purview. For example, the cycle of risk management. Many directors simply expect 2 presentations a year where we're going to discuss about risk management, instead of understanding, okay, how's that risk matrix created? How is the risk appetite defined? How am I monitoring the emerging risks? How can I say that the action plans that I have in place will do to the risks what I would like them to do, and how do I measure success in that? So that's one example. The same is true for capital allocation. The same is true for compensation. You need to understand the full cycle and understand where you are. And many times you don't. You just see the annual board agenda, and it's not really clear how that deck got there in the first place, right? So I think that having a better understanding of this process is important.
Yes, and especially about like the planning and follow-up, because now everything is going so fast that you need to no longer work like the strategic plan of, you need to have a strategy, but you need to have like the checkpoint maybe like quarterly or monthly for some items to get on the pulse of the issues.
And if I may add, Cindy, I think that's a very important key to have a board that is ready for the future is a corporate secretary. This is often an underrated job that companies like to bestow on the general counsel or some lawyer who may or may not have a seniority position. But the fact of the matter is that the corporate secretary or the board secretary is absolutely essential to work in partnership with the chair to make sure that not only you develop the right board agenda, but that the materials that reach the board are the materials that the board needs to see. It's a curated material. If all the curation is done by the C-level, again, you can have the best intentions in the world. It's biased. And in the worst case, it's not the best intentions, and then the bad things are not going to reach the board. So I think it's very important that companies invest in a senior, savvy corporate director that knows the ways around the company. So preferably somebody who have been in the company for a long time, but who answers to the chairman and not to the CEO. And if it's a joint chairman-CEO position, that answers to the lead independent director. And that person needs to be technologically savvy as well, because that person, together with the chairman, is able to push the board forward in terms of adhering to best practices and innovating in the way it's building the agenda.
Yeah. Thanks for these ads. And also recently, you've just joined the council of the Nasdaq Center for Board Excellence. So how this new role help you support and advance your mission for future fit governance?
Okay, well, as you probably saw in this conversation, I tend to be very straightforward with my opinions and to try to push healthy discussions. I think it's an excellent initiative of the Nasdaq that they're bringing together a group of very experienced directors with a very broad background, so different experiences to discuss the challenges in the boardroom. And we'll have the opportunity to exchange ideas in that closed format together with the team of the center to spread the word on these challenges and the best practices and the things that may or may not work to build better boards.
Awesome. So looking forward to what will be these outcomes of the council. And one relationship that is important, and you just talked about it, is a relationship between the C-suite, the CEO, and the board.
Yes.
So for current executives who would like to improve this strategic relationship and to get a better relationship with the boards, what is one action they could take tomorrow to spark a real reinvention in this relationship between the C-suite and the board?
Have a drink.
Okay.
So, social events are very important, but to be more precise, it's the ability of putting yourself into somebody else's shoes. As you said in the beginning, I had a career as an investor for 20 years, and I've been serving as a corporate director for 25 years now. It's amazing how sometimes investors and corporate management or boards, they want the same thing, but they have different languages. And so one side is afraid of the other. When we see all this terror about activists investing in the United States as if it's the end of the world, that the barbarians are at the gates. Listen, 90% of the time, they want the same thing, but they have a different way of thinking. They have an agenda that may have a different timing, different weights in terms of priorities. But if you sit down and you have a conversation, you more likely than not, you're gonna understand that it's all for the good of the company. So more dialogue, more social interaction, and it takes time. It really you have to devote time to each of these projects. Be ready to learn from people who are different from you, from people who you disagree with. Respect that disagreement, and try to find the solutions by conversation.
And this is like a great segue for the second part of the interview, because this is all about the human side, right? Because we are so much talking about tech that we are losing the human touch. And when we look at the younger generation, really like social relationship is a huge challenge. So now that we get a perspective of your point of view, would love to get to know you on a more personal level. So some fireside questions on the human side. Do you prefer paper books or digital books?
Paper books.
Paper books. To learn, books or podcasts?
Both.
Both?
They're complementary.
And being from Brazil and now living in Miami, mountains or beaches?
I have to say both too. I love them both. And having the two experiences is also complementary.
Awesome. Favorite comfort food?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. A person famous who is alive today, you would love to have coffee, breakfast, or dinner, to have like some time with a famous person who is alive.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. And what would you do? Because you are quite busy. No, before this one, an hobby you wish you would have more time for?
Scuba diving.
Scuba diving.
I love it, and I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, I have like a previous guest. I think is also like scuba diving. I think he went to all the oceans in the earth. And really passionate about it. And what would you do with one additional hour in a day?
And try to learn Chinese.
Ah, good.
I love languages, yes, and Chinese is on my to-do list, but I haven't gotten to it.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Mauro, for all those insights. And for our audience, I hope you took a lot of notes about the importance of asking the right questions for today to make really effective decision, to really get out of the trap of clubbiness and safety, to really challenge ourselves and to adopt a culture of continuous learning, and to really go all in relationship, in all really our relationship, not only boards and executive, to improve and strategic relationship and be effective in our work. So thank you very much, Mauro. And for our friends, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and see you at the next episode of the Future Fit Edge podcast. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Future Fit Edge podcast. To keep the conversation going, follow me on LinkedIn and subscribe to my newsletter. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe, rate, and share on your favorite podcast platform. See you next time.